We're back, cross-examining episode 138. We're watching, so there's no list this week because we're finishing up a lot of the shows this week and then a lot of the shows next week, but then because the week after is going to be the beginning of the summer 2023 season on there. This week we're watching Kubo, Magus, Oshi no Ko, Heavenly Delusion, Demon Slayer, Vinland Saga, and My Love Story with Yamada-kun level 999.
Yes.
Could have said the name of all of them, but I forgot halfway through. Kind of changed. I was like, Kubo. I don't know what the rest is. We'll go down to it.
Kubo-san won't let me be invisible.
So with those, we're watching the last 2 episodes of Oshi no Ko, the last episode of Demon Slayer, and then the last 2 episodes of Heavenly Delusion, and then the last episode of Vinland Saga, the last episode of Yamada-kun, level 999 on there, and then the last 2 episodes of Magus.
And Kubo.
Kubo.
Yeah.
Yeah, 2 episodes for Kubo. Sorry, some of them were highlighted yellow, some of them highlighted green. We kind of changed what we were talking about halfway through on there. But the order is going to start with Oshi no Ko's finally ended. They have a 2nd season already announced.
Yes.
Before we get too far, that's Matt. I'm Justus. We talk about anime. Still Oshi no Ko.
I already said Matt Justus.
You never did.
Play the tapes, John. I wish we had an editor that could do this for me.
So,
Oshi no Ko was pretty good. It was not the best ending. Oshi no Ko started so great at the beginning of the season. Really good, really powerful. End of the season, I felt like was like, you can't end as strong as you started because it started so strong. But the end, I was like, it's all right.
the end is clearly setting up way more to come. Even foreshadowing certain things, though I don't know much about it. The crow at the end plays that wasn't just a like cool thing that they showed. There's a crow that plays some significant portion in the story later, where were hinting that. Yeah. So I don't know what that's about.
My mom was isekai'd into a crow, the anime.
I don't think that's the case. But
I don't know, the story was pretty good. So all around for the whole season, because eventually we're gonna do like a tier list of what's what.
Mm-hmm.
Oshi no Ko had an amazing start, a very good middle, and I think kind of a mediocre.
Ending? Absolutely
So
not.
I think because at the end they were doing the live performance, right? And they're trying to go through the emotions. I felt like for the first song, they should have just played the entire first thing out as like its own kind of mini music video thing. Then the second video they should have done it like with all the thinking of what's going on there. Because I felt like it got hype. Here's a small talk thing on here. Hype. Oh no, another small talk thing. Like I felt like the last episode kind of took me out on there a little bit.
Absolutely
It
not.
still ended good.
You're wrong.
Sorry that you just drank the Oshi no Ko juice.
The Kool-Aid.
You see what happens when they try and put you down on there?
Oshi no
Just because you
Kool-Aid.
don't agree. Like a lot of the best shows this season had a very okay ending. That's what I mean by kind of more mediocre.
I mean,
okay.
The big thing is with 90% of these shows, they're all going to have a second season. So you can't just definitively like slap the ending on it. It's the same thing with like Attack on Titan.
Dr. Stone, I felt like had a great ending on there. They're like, here's this big kind of what's going to happen on there, leaving you wanting more.
Yeah, but even in Dr. Stone's case, they did that for 7 seasons or 7 episodes.
How much Attack on Titan have you watched?
1 episode.
Let's see, you can't talk about it then.
I do know
Attack on
everyone's
Titan.
kind of been complaining because, like, oh, here's this episode. All right, I guess we'll have to wait for it to finalize 7 months from now. Because even when it came back, you're like, yeah, Attack on Titan's back. Oh, it was only like 2 episodes? I didn't even know that.
I was only hyped because I didn't even read about it. At the end of season 1, super big mystery. We're about to get where we need to go. End of season 2, another huge mystery, wanting more. I got to the end of Oshi no Ko. I was like, It's like, yep, that's an ending, all right. I still want more, but it didn't leave me wanting as much as like Dr. Stone, or like I feel like they should have added some more bigger mystery on there. Like maybe that guy at the end that's standing in the tower doing the whole live stage play. Maybe if you pulled out a picture of Ai, like, oh, it reminds me of Ai. I used to know her. Like adding that little bit extra mystery. I haven't read the manga, so I don't know.
That doesn't exist in the manga. But
So you've read ahead in the manga?
well, no, they've just been doing such a good job of keeping things almost 1-to-1 that
I just
Like
I just wish there would have been more of a mystery at the end to make you hyped to like, I need to know now. I need to go read the manga and figure it out. But they did do a good job of.
They did set part of that up though, because
but
Aqua is now going to be part of a play where I is most likely to have fallen in love, and Kuburagi is setting kind of pieces in motion, and at some point you kind of can't tell who's playing who. Is Aqua playing him? Is he playing Aqua? Like that stuff exists.
I mean, yeah,
that's there.
It doesn't matter what you're gonna say. I'm still not gonna change my opinion. If I didn't really like the ending, I'm still gonna say I really didn't like the ending. I'm just saying they could have added more to it. They'll probably add more mystery for me to want more on there, compared to a couple other shows that we watched. Like, it's kind of hard to say, but you could be like, oh, Full Metal, when they take that like halfway break, they leave a lot of mystery of like, you find out like who's controlling the homunculus, what's all going on with it. You want to know so much at once because there's like 10 unsolved mysteries. Versus Oshinoko at the end just kind of lives it off with, here's some mystery, here's a little bit of that romance going on. But I mean, Aqua was a pretty cool character when he's the only one that had the little white glow stick thing.
At the end, he wasn't. I think the final episode is really good because it has a lot of subtle stuff built into it. Like one of the best examples is while they're on stage, that part where you said you didn't, really like it, instead of just like doing a full song and then.
Well, no, there's 2 songs to do. I wish they would have done one full and then the second one they split up more, which they kind of did. But it was cool because they were doing the whole music video thing, and then it's like, take you out real quick, put you back in the music video kind of thing.
Because the music video is the side stuff. But at one point Kana isn't smiling and you see Ruby notice that they're on stage, and that whole like this is she's passing in front of her to remind her to smile. Like a lot of those kind of subtle ones where if you're just kind of watching, it's like she does it to the crowd as well because that's kind of the main pose, but it's like noticing just how inept Ruby is at certain like feelings and stuff like that. Even at one point she talks about how messed up Aqua got when he was younger, and it's like, it was your mom too. You're definitely equally as messed up. Don't play this off like.
Yeah, but I mean, Ruby wasn't being held, as his mother bled out holding him on there.
She was just behind the door.
Yeah, but I mean, there's still like, Aqua had that little extra step up of like, plus he's a doctor and he knew, nothing's going to change. Like he got hit. Like, she's going to bleed out in like 10 seconds anyways.
Yeah. Oh, it's just with
Also,
Ruby's character.
How did no one know that was Aqua? It's like, he seems a lot less buff in real life. It's like that dude in earlier scenes is like basically puffing out his jacket. And you're like, he's not as buff when you hang out with him. Or it's like, you hung out with him for like 2 days before this. A lot. It worked out a lot. And so how buff this dude was. Like, come on. Ruby can't be that. I mean, Ruby can be that dumb, but I don't think Kana is that dumb on there.
The voice is all that has to sell it. I mean, this is kind of how it goes.
I mean, Ai's voice actor's still getting that little bit of money right at the end, talking while the crow's looking at him. Well, looking at Aqua, of course. So
you do get a Kana and Akane's feud, or the start of their feud, where you were like, these two don't like each other.
To put in perspective, Akane has the main lead role in the upcoming live action, and Kana has a
secondary role.
It's like kind of a lead, but kind of a supporting role at the same time.
But in the play, there's a love triangle.
Yeah, and they're both fighting over Aqua on there, which obviously Akane does like Aqua, and Kana really likes Aqua, so much so that Memcho, is in the car like, she loves him. Wait a minute, there's a triangle going on here.
I like how she's conflicted too, where it's like
who she should root for. So I mean, I'm team Akane all the way. Just
it's only because she can impersonate his mom.
No,
get real weird in bed.
No, because she's nice all around and tries her best. Kana's just a bitch. It's exactly what it is.
No.
I don't know, but that was only 2 episodes. There's not too much else to talk about. But I thought all in all, Oshinoko ended with like a 8-9 or 8-9 or something like that. Yeah. 8.94, which I think is fitting for the show. Everyone else, I was like, 10 out of 10 all the way. It's like, well, give it a few episodes. Like, the first episode was really, really good. But one thing I want to mention, too, is the beginning of the season, when they had their ending theme, it was the extended 2-minute one. And at the end of the season, they did the same extended theme at the very end as well. Because during the season, it's only the 1.5-minute theme. And at the end, the 2-minute theme is the one with the rabbit spinning around to kind of add a more subtle into it.
The first episode, though, it ended with the opening, not the ending.
Yeah. Or, well, they had that in the... Because if you look online when we did our opening and ending themes, because I have that saved, there's 2 different ones. The extended one is still in there. The episode 1. I'd have to look up what it actually is, but one's 2 minutes and one's 1:30 on there, so... Well, would you rate it higher? Or you think kind of that 9 is good? I think that 9 rating,
I gave it a 9. It is exceptional.
Yeah, they gave it a beginning of season. It was like 10 out of 10 all the way through the whole season. I mean, if they kept that up, but it's kind of hard to keep up that super big hype every single week for. I think they had 11 episodes total for Oshi no Ko. So I mean, you can't keep that up for all 11 on there unless you're Full Metal Alchemist. You can just keep it up for 52 episodes or 62. I can't remember. One's shorter than the other.
63.
63. Whatever. Close enough on there. And who else was close?
Demon Slayer.
Mitsuri.
Lame Slayer.
Mitsuri is the weakest Hirashi out of all of them. I saw a photo. It's like Rengoku goes out with a blaze, about to die. Like, I'm going to fight to save everyone. Yuzui going out, losing an arm. Like, oh, I'll sacrifice myself to save everyone. Mitsuri, oh my God, I'm going to die. And she gets eaten. And then luckily, Tanjiro kills the demon to save him.
She's very strong. I don't know what you're talking
she's strong,
about.
but she could have gone out in a way cooler way if she was actually going to die.
Well, clearly she wasn't going to die, so that's not the
just
problem
to mention,
there.
it was only 1 episode of Demon Slayer, but it was 52 minutes. So, I mean, it was like 2 episodes on there.
Yeah.
Then Nezuko can go out in the sun. I mean, when she starts catching fire because Tanjiro notices the sun setting and...
Rising.
Rising, my bad. And then Tanjiro, you see that moment in his eyes and the facial expression of, oh shoot, the sun's coming out. And Nezuko catches fire and just the panic in his voice. I'm already nominating him for Best Voice Actor of the Year. Just the panic in his voice, the terror in his voice at the same time, and telling Nezuko to shrink down, so she won't burn. She's burning. Nezuko's voice actress finally earned some of her money legitimately this time instead of
Oh, you think that's not like a legitimate thing? To be able to accurately convey emotion without speaking isn't a talent, Matt?
No, it is, but they probably recorded most of her lines at the beginning of the year. It's like, It's a Vin Diesel I Am Groot thing all over again. But like the whole thing of her catching fire and then she kicked, because I haven't read ahead. I want to read ahead so bad because they already obviously announced the next season, which is the Hirashi training arc.
Yes.
And
people thought it was going to be the Infinite Castle arc.
I think that's what everyone wanted too.
It's adapting portion of a light novel that was written that fills that gap.
I wonder if they're just going to do that small gap fill of like maybe it's 6 episodes so then they can have more time to work on the Infinite. I mean, just drawing that Infinite thing would be a pain in the butt. I mean, we've seen it.
Yeah, the Infinite Castle is like the last arc of the entire show.
Is it?
Yes.
I thought there was one more.
I don't believe so because I mean they're going into his domain, so yeah, you would think that they're gonna go there to kill him. It'd be kind of weird to spend 2 arcs trying to do that.
So that would mean Demon Slayer is gonna end in the next 1.5 2 years.
Yeah,
it'll be finally over. Which about the same time My Hero should be ending and Attack on Titan ending. Like in the next year, we're losing all the like top shows. I feel like. Oshi no Ko, yes, is a top show, but like the top like shonen kind of action shows. Because you lose Demon Slayer, you lose My Hero Academia on there, you lose Attack on Titan. And then I'm trying to think, isn't Black Clover on its way out or something like that too?
I'm not sure. I know it's been on
hiatus.
hiatus.
And One Piece will end sometime in the next 20 years.
And that one's a staple. But hey, we're getting a Naruto thing again.
Another? Oh, from the original team?
Yep.
Also, I felt like it took too long to kill that demon. Yes, they built up a lot of motion. Yes, they built up a lot of the fight. But he's like, oh, I chopped his head off. Did the cool, like, sun breathing. Because you can see Tanjiro can use other forms of breathing now. like Zenetsu's lightning breathing.
Yeah, and it was hinted at that those that can use the sun technique
Can use all the techniques.
because the sun technique is the base of all other techniques.
Which is why Tanjiro's different. Now that we've actually seen him use multiple techniques, right? Because he uses water is his main one, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then he used fire. And then he's used sun. That's only when he's like hyper concentrated thinking of that dude.
Mm-hmm.
Now he's using lightning.
Didn't he also use wind?
Yeah, I think he did use wind at one point. I would doubt he's going to use love breathing at any point on there. But if the final fight's just going to be like a 10-minute thing of him using different breathings and all this, I don't really like when people do that. Because it's like, it's cool to show off all of them at once unless he just uses one mega attack that like encompasses everything at once. That would be way cooler. But he killed the monster, which was cool. And I was like, oh, that's cool. He finally kills him. You know, Tanjiro's about to die. And our boy, I'm sorry, I don't have his name up on the screen. The one with the shotgun on there.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, he sees him and he's trying to help, you know, spread the hands out so Tanjiro's skull doesn't get crushed at the same time. But then he's like, oh, he's still alive. Oh, he's inside his heart. Then he does the extra slash on there. And I was like, it would have been cooler just to do the one big slash like he normally does on there. But you've seen Tanjiro change from like, season 1 when he's super nice. Like season 1 episode 18, 17? When he like cuts that one spider dude's head off and it's like super nice, like feels for him. Now he just hates them all in general.
I wouldn't say quite hates them all in general. It's just the actions of some of them, at least with, I think the character then is Rui. There's a little bit of ambiguity of, yes, they're doing something bad, but like, look, you've still tried to do human things like create a family and, you know, a semblance of a family and certain
Dom's
things
over
like
there
that.
with a shotgun in his car like a Tanjiro. It's all about family. Just
But yeah, it's so there were still human aspects to them versus the higher up
demons.
Demons. I forget what their official like.
The upper moons.
Yeah, there you go.
Well,
they're way more monstrous than the rest. So
I mean, they've killed. So number 1 is obviously alive. Number 2 is still alive, but I think they killed 3 and 4.
Mm-hmm.
And they almost killed 6, which is that Akaza.
Yeah.
Akaza, the one that Rengoku was fighting.
Yep.
We've seen Tanjiro but easily kill. They've killed more upper moons than they lost Hirashi this time. Because you technically don't have...
Which is the first time in, 1,000 years?
Yeah. Well, they were talking about the first time in 1,000 years, they lost the twins. Then Rengoku almost killed Akaza, which I guess won't count him. But then they killed those other 2 Hirashi. I guess the twins only counted as 1. So they've killed, 3 out of the upper 6? Not to mention they've killed a couple of the bottom 6 on there.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like... But then even the main dude, I don't remember his name. I'd have to pull it up on there.
Muzan.
Yeah, Muzan. He even talked about... He's even talked about how he's no longer going to give his blood to make more demons because he's been looking for one girl, or not one girl, just one person that can control the sun.
Well, he specifically was looking for a flower when he was sick, back when he was a human. That for 1,000 years, he's literally just been looking for this particular flower, and now he doesn't need that because...
You just consume Nezuko.
Yeah.
So you got pretty much everyone's background story. In this one, Muzan, which was a sick, probably emperor's kid or something like that, like higher rank, whatever. And then the doctor healed him, but then he killed the doctor. And now the doctor was the only one that knew what to do with him. And it's like, well, played yourself, buddy. I mean, if you're looking for 1,000 years in Japan, I'm sure you could have found something, unless the doctor picked the last of the flowers or something like that.
Homie went to South Korea and he just doesn't know.
There's other countries outside of Japan?
So, yeah, it's cool to see a lot of the build-up. I wasn't expecting the Nezuko thing to, like, the fact that she exists in the sunlight now. She's the first ever demon to be able to exist like that.
And I haven't read ahead, so I thought she was gonna Like I said,
I didn't think she was gonna die. I just assumed.
I thought
that
it would have been a big move just to kill her off and watch Tanjiro go crazy in the next arc or something. And then,
I think that would be too much.
well, then when she's like, "Oh, Ohio, big brother," I was like, "Oh my god, my heart's melting right now." She can talk. She can be in the sun. Now I wonder if is she gonna burn a little bit every time when the sun comes up? It's gonna be a lot of painfulness, or
I think she's perfectly fine.
yeah.
Like, if you're not burning it all during the day, like whatever. So there's a lot of kind of stuff at play. They also do a little bit of that, like, all right, it's time for you to go back to the main castle, and they blindfold Tanjiro, and then on the way out they're like, nah, you need to
take
see
it off.
this.
It's a little celebration.
Yeah.
Woo!
And it's like, well, that's sweet, but man, it really defeats the purpose.
He's just right outside of it. It doesn't matter on there. He ran around the whole area chopping stuff.
Also, they'll definitely need to move.
Yeah, well, no. I mean, they might. Just depends. Because remember, the two upper demons said they know where they're going, and he only told one other person. So none of the other demons know, but I guess they don't know that they know. All in all, pretty good last episode on there. I just closed the tab, so I don't know what it scored. I think it scored like an 8.4, which I think is fair. I'd probably give it an 8, just a little bit below. It was probably the weakest season so far of Demon Slayer, but they focused way more on story rather than action, which is what they needed, because the next 2 seasons are just going to be action, 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 action.
Yeah, I'm also looking forward to them explaining the demon mark, like the Demon Slayer mark, because now there's 2 Hashira and Tanjiro that have developed the mark when they fight. What does that mean?
Maybe the one original Demon Slayer had a whole bunch of kids, and that's just bloodlines down the way or something. I don't.
If it's like that, that'd be so fucking lame. But
everything else is lame in the show when you really think about it. On there, Justice, it's just a delusion.
It'd just be extra lame. So
speaking of delusions, Heavenly Delusion. So, what was your favorite part of the show, Justice?
You're not gonna bait me with that. I liked the part where...
We watched 2 episodes of Heavenly Delusion, by the way, and the season is over.
Mm-hmm. I liked the part where Takio finally got reunited with...
Tokyo?
Yeah, sorry.
Got reunited with her babies. Well,
she doesn't know that there's 2.
Yeah. She also didn't really know, I made this. Like, here's your baby. It came from you. And she's like, because...
This is what happens when you just shelter at the end. Like,
sex education is important, kids.
Mm-hmm.
Otherwise, people be having babies. And she's like, does Kona know? And it's like, Kona doesn't know. The whole facility's falling apart. They're like, a plane must have crashed into it. It's like, well, I didn't see any plane parts. So this is either a inside job by Bush or...
All right, calm down. We do find out that old lady that's been in charge, she can run, she can walk this entire time.
Well, that lady got killed too. She's like, push me. And she's like, I can't, Professor. And she's having a breakdown. She's like, screw it, I'll run. That lady could have lived. I mean, an explosion happened right away on there. So either it's a missile strike. We don't know what it is. It's just the facility got damaged. 4 of the kids got out. One's going back. Tokyo is encased herself in some weird, like, Resident Evil type enclosure thing with her kid. And then we got no closure on Ismaru, Tokyo's kid.
Definitely. The answer is yes, absolutely. And you do see Shiro, Mimehime, and 2 others also go outside the outside for the first time. And Mimehime freaking out because the ceiling is so high up where it's like, sheltered children. It's so fucked up.
On a side note, have you ever seen Patama inverted?
No.
You would love it. That's just a side note. I just wanted to mention real quick. No one's seen it, and they thought that scene was funny. There's a whole movie kind of about something similar to this on there. I don't know. I thought the series ended really good. There was a really messed up scene where Kiriko
and Robin?
Yeah, Robin kind of just straight up rapes Kiriko in a way. But then they do the flashback of like, because technically Kiriko now has her brother's brain inside of her. And they do this thing where he has these flashbacks where he's like merging with his sister's body or whatever. And like, him and Robin used to have a love thing going on.
Maybe you don't
maybe.
really know that.
Yeah.
There was.
It was hinted at, but you don't know for sure. And then Robin kind of dicks down Kiriko, but he doesn't really say no. He doesn't say yes, so it's definitely kind of sexual assault at the least, probably. Right?
What do you mean doesn't say no? The wait, stop is kind of a no, Matt.
Well, no, hang on. Let me justify what I was saying there, because he says that, but then there's a point where Robin's making him look at the mirror, and then he starts having those flashbacks. He's like, "Well, my sister." It was a weird thing.
Can't justify it.
Because then Kiriko finally comes out like, "No, don't kill him, don't hurt him anymore." And it's like, well, do you love the man? Do you not love the man? What's going on? Then Maru finally confesses again. Throw this rock in the river. If you don't want it, throw his rock in the river. Maru's destroyed emotionally, and then she cries in his arms. And it's a whole weird. The series kind of ended in a weird way where there's like 3 different things going on because you found Robin. There's your closure. You know nothing else about him.
Robin is a total piece of shit. Which, look, I get the idea of not killing him because it is still someone that you looked up to at one point. So there's the, kind of like a close friend or whatever.
But Robin was keeping. They don't explain why Robin had a man-eater in there.
Yeah, we don't know that.
But the man-eater's like
he fled and he's like gone.
Yeah, he's gone, and like a lot of the guards are gone too. So there's like they had this water treatment plant, which was doing good, but like he had a man-eater just in one of the doors, which wasn't hyper-violent, but the new Republic, I don't know what those guys
like
are.
the Ministry rebuild.
Yeah, rebuilding ministry or something like that. They find it. So there's
or
that
reconstruction.
Yeah, but so you're wondering why there's a man-eater.
Mm-hmm.
Then you're wondering, is Kiriko and Maru going to go look for the doctor now? Because she only tore up the picture of Robin. She still has the picture of the doctor, but you find out the doctor's name for sure. So they know his name. So those are 2 mysteries. But then you also want to find out what happens with Tokyo. And then you got to find out what happened with those kids. Because 4 of the kids are out and gone. There's no way they're coming back.
They were on a boat back to like mainland Tokyo. Or at least it looked like mainland Tokyo.
Yeah.
Because that's how it ends with them.
But Mimihime and the other person decided to go back. So there's 2 kids out, 2 kids going back in. It's a whole weird thing.
Mimihime was on the boat.
Where I thought they were going back in. They did that scene where they were going.
They tried to, but they got lost. There was multiple minutes of them just not being able to find it. So
I don't know. Are they trying to? Then you have to find out what this institute is. Listen, it's a whole bunch of things coming together.
And none of it is resolved. So we'll have to hope that they do a season 2. Or you'll have to read the manga.
I'm sure they are. They're probably just waiting a little bit. You know, I don't know, man. It's just kind of confusing on there. I don't know what's going on. It's just like a saga that continues on. Speaking of sagas, Justus with his Vinland saga in his 1 episode. So reiterate what happened last time real quick. What's his name went back? Thorfinn is going back to his home.
Thorfinn and Canute eventually came up to the agreement. Canute left. Thorfinn was like, okay, I'm a free person. Einar and him leave with Leif Erikson. And that's how it ended. Them saying goodbye, being on the boat. This final episode was Thorfinn going home, back to Iceland.
Is this just a wrap-up episode where it's like, oh, we're here, have fun?
Not really. It does build to the next season, which it will definitely happen. It'll just probably be 2 or 3 years down the line because Mappa and like it's good, but it takes time, kind of thing.
I mean, Mappa barely has anything on their plate right now.
Oh yeah. Thorfinn does realize where he's like, wait, how long has it been since I've been gone? He's been gone for like 16 years since episode 1 of season 1. So he finally gets back, runs into his sister, tries to do the like, oh, sister thing, and then she punches him in the face because she doesn't believe that it's actually him. The sister, of course, is very strong because their father is very strong. Was very strong. I don't want to say is. Thorfinn, of course, like eventually goes to his mom's place after kind of moping around for half of a day, and mom being mom is like, yo, you look just like your dad. Like, she knows. So she knows, and then eventually, like, the sister comes around, does punch him again, and for the most part, it does end with Thorfinn recounting the entire story since he's left, like the people that he's killed, the horrible things that he's done, the fact that he's been a slave, like everything up until them coming back and seeing their reactions. And then the final thing is just going like, but I have to leave again. I want to rebuild a better place. I want to go to Vinland, which is supposed to be America. And that is like mom giving the okay, yes, you can go. Like it her and his dad fled what is it? Joan something. It's like a Viking land, to go there to live a peaceful life, so she understands. And then they're setting up going to Vinland. That's how it ends. So it was really
kind
nice.
of a boring episode on there.
No, it was a good and kind of bow on top. You can't be like, oh yeah, parent reuniting with their child after 16 years. Like, man, pretty boring.
All I'm getting from Vinland Saga season 2, like, I'm not saying Vinland Saga is boring. Obviously, you need to have some like story to support the main thing. But from what I've heard from a lot of people that have like been watching it on there, it's just like, oh yeah, here's like the story. Here's like 2 minutes of maybe something going on. Like, we spent like the entire season leading up to like a 1 or 2 kind of action-packed episode, and that was just kind of it.
Well,
on there.
Specifically, this season is character-driven, not action-driven. That's been the whole point. That's even the shift that when the mangaka wrote it, that was his exact intention.
Yeah.
Where he's like, the action is cool, but the characters are the most important part. If you don't like it, leave.
Well, no, I'm just saying it just seems like I originally thought maybe I'll catch up on Vinland Saga, maybe I'll get into season 2, and now I'm just kind of like, oh well, maybe I'll try it down the road, but it's definitely not going to be like top of my list anytime soon.
It's still rated very, very high.
I'm not saying it's bad, I'm just saying it's on top of my list. It's kind of the same thing with like crappy transition Ancient Magus Bride, where season 1 I thought it was like okay, really not.
Real quick, Vinland Saga rated 8.84.
Was it 8.4? I thought I just saw it.
8.84.
Back to what I was saying. Sorry, we need to speed up just a little bit on there. Ancient Magus Bride, we only watched 2 episodes of it on there. Season is officially over on there with 12 episodes total on there. Long story short, some stuff kind of wrapped up on there, and then at the same time, it's like, here's like 10 more mysteries. So I feel like in season 1, when it ended, they left you with...
This season isn't even officially over.
Yeah. It's core 1, right? Mm-hmm. 2. But what I'm saying is, season 1 ended. They left you with like 2, kind of 3 mysteries on there. And this core 1 of season 2 kind of left you with 10 mysteries on there. Who's really out to get Chisei? What is that professor's actual, like, what he's trying to go for on there?
The professor that was in the Wasteland thing?
The one that basically was grabbing her. And now it's like, I'm going to report you to the supervisor. And she's like, okay, whatever. And just kind of bounces out.
The one that was in the Wasteland that like was hiding around the corner with the glasses?
Yeah.
He's not a professor.
Well, whatever his actual...
He's literally spellbound to that area.
Yeah.
The actual professor is the blind one with the glasses.
Yeah, I can't remember what his actual role was. It doesn't matter besides that. But it's like, there's a lot of people going for it, but it has the same problem I felt like season 1 had, where it's like, I never feel like Chisei's actually in danger. They don't really emphasize that like anything could happen right now. It's more of the, I got her. You leave her alone. Oh shoot, swiper no swiping, and he's just kind of away from the whole thing.
I think no matter what, it's always going to be hard to give her any level of official danger because she is like literally immortal. Like,
well, yeah, but you could change it to where maybe someone takes over her mind, which they kind of tried to do, but you really felt like there was no stakes at the table. It's like she's sitting there with 4 of a kind, all aces, and the person on the other end of the table has nothing in a hand, and they go all in. She's like, okay, call. Oh, who would have guessed it on there? I just feel like they need to add something more. I don't know how closely it follows the manga because I haven't read it at all. But I remember when I watched the original OVAs when they came out, like, God, forever ago. Because they came out, I think, a few years before the actual series came out. It felt like there were some stakes, even, like, not in the sense of, like, she would get hurt, but stakes in, like, there's something happening in the story, and I do kind of fear for it. Or you can change that and give some more, like, you know, that one kid with the Medusa.
Zoe.
I felt like he had, you know, oh, there might be a danger here. Like, come here, kid. And he just kind of did, oh, freeze you. That's it. It's like, maybe cut off a snake, hurt him, beat him up a little bit so you feel like there's something to it. Because it feels like anytime there's a conflict, it's immediately resolved in like 2 seconds. It's like, oh, that's it. On to the next thing. You know what I mean?
Not really. To me, it just feels like with a lot of shows, you just want way more action and high stakes versus
that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying is there's no stakes at all, and they try and play it off like there is, but there isn't at all. It's like, hey, we're in a race. Who's gonna win? The guy with the V8 or the guy with the Prius?
Well, if the Prius is running a 2JZ,
but that's what they're trying to do. They're like, oh, there's this big thing building up. People are in trouble. People could die. Like, the closest they got to someone dying was not really Alice, but they put some emphasis on
the wolf dude died.
But that was like a character they introduced for like 10 seconds and then immediately kill him off. But that was about the closest they got Lucy. Lucy, when she basically was passed out going through the whole thing on there, like, they should have done something a little bit closer. Even like her brother, when he gets stabbed, it's like immediately like, oh, this spell stopped it. They could have added a little bit more drama. It feels like they know what they want. They're getting kind of close to what they want, but they just don't take that extra step to add to it. But then again, it also depends what the source material is, how close they follow it. So I'll give them that.
I have no problem with a lot of the stakes or anything like that, just because I know, you know, the story that's being told right now, a lot of those stuff that's going on are really small, and it's building up to those bigger problems. So I'm more focused on the story with the bigger problems and some of the side details, like the plant that both Chisei and, I don't see his name here, that one blonde dude, where it's like, yeah, it turns out only people who have killed people can see that plant. And there's 3 of the 5 of them that can see that plant. And that raises questions where it's like, okay, well, who is he killed? Philomela, definitely grandma's been like, you doing some killing today. And she goes, do I have to?
That's
yes.
a perfect example. If they've done something good there, adds to it that kind of mystery around it. But I feel like they're batting like, they hit 1 and that's it per episode. For a show that's pretty hyped up, and I imagine that the sales have done pretty well, I imagine they could have done more with it on there. That's all I'm saying.
I'm happy with it. I'm looking forward to seeing Core 2. Kind of how some of this resolves. Grandma over there is definitely real crazy. Like, so that's the one thing I'll say is kind of the
brings you out
with
of
the
it.
show is you definitely know Grandma's the bad guy. Like, she has the book. She's the one pulling the strings. But they also did that with season 1.
Knowing who the bad guy is good. It makes you like fear for someone. It adds a
but
level to it.
Not when Grandma's not really done anything. And
That, you know, for now, they might just do a thing later where they tie it all together. I don't know. All I'll say is I'm probably not watching the second core on a real note.
Really?
At this point, it's just like I watch it and I'm like, whatever. That is my opinion on
And
there.
it is wrong.
You can't say that. Opinions are opinions. Speaking of opinions, Yamada-kun level 999. Didn't like the ending either.
You didn't like the...
Like, I don't know. Let me explain first before you tell me my opinion's trash. And it was my opinion and how I felt about the series. Everyone's entitled to their own opinion. My reason I didn't like the ending of Yamada-kun. I'm not saying the full ending, but the last, we watched, 2 episodes on this? Is I wish they would have introduced Yakiri maybe an episode or 2 sooner. I know it would have been tough to introduce her, but that whole episode of like, she's very sad that Yamada-kun doesn't reciprocate her feelings, which she kind of knew was going to happen. It just kind of didn't do anything for me, where I usually get like kind of attached to a show. Like, you can feel the emotions. They did pretty good throughout this whole show getting you attached. And then for her story, they just made you very unattached to her feelings. Yes, it's sad what happened to her, but I don't think they played it off as well as they could have, especially with the other characters.
I thought it was pretty good because specifically, yes, her feelings, but in the last 2 episodes, it's just about Yamada and like his feelings and how he reacts to some of those. Because even Yakari, like,
well, the second to last episode was all about basically Yakari. For the majority of it, like 80% of it was her.
Her and her feelings towards Yamada.
Yeah.
But the core importance was Yamada not reciprocating that, but definitely still having feelings and for someone else, which of course ends up being Akane, where it's like the progression there and having someone that is close to Yamada, because even the first part of that episode is Akane going, I'm going to confess, and then like chickening out and all of that. Like, there was still like a first third of like a converging paths kind of thing. So I don't really see that as much of a problem. It definitely didn't feel like, oh yes, another girl that was getting like let down, we should have spent more time with her kind of thing.
Well, no, I'm saying is they should have introduced her quicker. Not more time at the end, because the problem is they should have done a thing, in my opinion, whatever the mangaka or whatever it is, light novel, I don't know. Yamada, if they would have had him have more of a torn thing of like actually showing a little more emotion that he actually did care about Yukari, sorry. And then being like, no, I actually do like Akane more. And that's who I want to be with on there. Because basically the whole end of the show, like the last frame, is basically a repeat of what happened in episode 1. Except from Akane's perspective, it's Yamada's perspective on there. It's like, oh, shoes, you should have worn something more comfy, blah, blah, blah. She's on the ground crying. Here you go. And maybe they'll leave it as is. Maybe they'll do a second season. They could do a second season, but it's almost nice to just kind of leave it here open-ended. Let it be kind of its own thing.
Did you like the fact that he was the one to confess before her?
Yeah, I mean, she already kind of confessed already. But I mean, basically, he's the one that took the last step. That's not even the best part of the whole show, Justice. You know what my favorite part of this entire show is?
That
Kamota, the strawberry farmer, turns out to be a very well-known president businessman. Not only because they go to this fancy restaurant. Oh, my friend invited me to his new fancy restaurant. Oh, thank you for coming, president, on there. And everyone's like doing like the full-on bow to him. They're like, who is this guy? Gets in, meets all these other big shots, presidents of other companies. Oh, president, how are you doing? How are you doing? Oh, they sent you over this high-end sake. They sent you this high-end fruit platter. They sent you this Wagyu beef. Multiple of them on there. And it's like, what does this dude do? Is he like a former mafia boss? Yakuza?
No, he's just a strawberry farmer.
That's the cover they give you, and I refuse to accept that.
I mean, if he's the president of a strawberry company that actively helps cultivate individuals that want to be in higher levels of business.
Copium over here. High levels of copium. This dude is Yakuza and you know it. No one drives like that just for a strawberry farmer. He might have drove the wrong direction, but he drifted that car so quickly. And that was a whole cargo van filled with people, Justus. You tell me this man isn't former Yakuza. Look at his voice actor, Yakuza.
I do think it is funny that Momoko was immediately talking to Eita when they were by themselves, and it's like, so you single?
I mean, you gotta take your chances where you can get them, buddy. You know?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Yukari never did show up to that final dinner on there.
Yeah, I mean that
You get your heart broken. It's like, oh, should I go? Nah, I'm not gonna go at all.
Yeah, I mean, that stuff like that makes sense. You're definitely gonna spend the day at home, heartbroken and all.
Maybe she just wants. Oh, go ahead.
I enjoyed the show. Especially there near the end. The first part, it felt.
You did not enjoy it the first part. You didn't like it in the beginning.
It was too heavy on the video game side instead of the actual relationship building with any of the real characters. Once they started doing the IRL meetups and like interacting with each other more, that's where it felt way more enjoyable.
Called transitions, Justus.
Oh, but the end, I'm glad that he was the one that said, "Oh, I'm busted." Like, yes, I do like you, which was both a little out of character, but
it's a confession. It's going to be out of character, Justice.
Yeah. So that was super cool to see, especially when the first part of the episode you've seen is him heavily focusing on like the fact that he doesn't understand other people's feelings. So being able to see him come to terms with specific feelings and the one to like say it first, it's good character growth.
Speaking of romance series, Justice, did you watch Kubo Won't Let Me Communicate or Won't Let Me Be Invisible?
Kubo Won't Let Me Communicate.
Yeah, let's go with. Long story short, ending was all right.
How many of these? Because we watched 7 shows. How many of these endings did you like?
I got to get it back up. I'm not saying they're bad. I think you think that I think they're bad. They're not. I'm just saying
the way it comes across. Where
they could. I already said it. Okay. I already said it like 4 times, man. They could be better considering. It just seems to me like they got to the end. Like, oh, let's throw a generic ending in. You could be a little more unique or throw something a little bit more in there. Like when it came to Magus, that's understandable because there's a second core. Which at the end of the day, it's like, you still should have done something a little bit more. But when it comes to like Blu-ray, once that comes out, it's one whole thing. So it really doesn't matter. It's just a peek to the series on there. So like, put in perspective, Oshi, I like the ending. I just think it could have been better. Considering how they started very strong. The middle of the season was very strong. The episodes before this were pretty strong. And then at the end, they just kind of threw like the last like 15 minutes was kind of like, here, take it. That's it. And then Heavenly, I actually did kind of like how this ended on there. It was kind of funny, funny, cute. They definitely left it open-ended so they could do the next thing because they spent a whole season basically just looking for Robins. They can spend the whole next season looking for the scientist. Demon Slayer, I already said I like that ending on there. I just think what I said was the Hirashi, you're a high-level Hirashi that's meant to kill high-level demons, and then the whole it was supposed to be kind of funny, but you go from this very sad, emotional, happy thing to then throwing in that tiny bit of comedy and then just grouping it back in. It's I wish they in the middle of Tanjiro's fight, they would have thrown her fight in there too, right when he beheaded the guy, that happens, then back to the happy thing, just kind of end the whole thing kind of like that. Vinland, I didn't watch Vinland, so I can't tell you at all. Then my love story was I just said they needed to introduce the girl sooner. I didn't say it was bad. I just didn't super enjoy it. I did the whole series pretty much the whole time. And then Kubo is kind of hard because we went from watching 6 episodes and we took 6
months off, 3 months off.
Yeah. Basically 2 months, 3 months on there, and then they finish it. So you don't get to keep those emotions from week to week to week to then watch it. Because I was watching some shows weekly, some shows all at once. Mm-hmm. On there. Kubo, they left it open-ended. They can do more with it on there.
Would you want them to do more? Would you watch it if they did more?
Probably not. I mean, they did the same thing that Yamada did when they left it kind of open-ended. You know pretty much what's going to happen if they don't finish it.
Mhm.
So it is kind of finished up on there. It's definitely not the same as like Ouran High School Host Club where it's just so open-ended and it's like, well, she could marry any of them. She married all of them, by the way. That is the ending to the manga. She married all of them.
What a hoe.
I mean, they're all rich. Might as well get all your money while you get the chance.
Yeah. I do enjoy, the date was kind of cute. The fact that they both enjoyed the movie, and Shirai, Shirai.
You're gonna say Junta.
Yeah. His excitement with like watching the movie, and then even being able to see just how Kubo like started noticing him, with like some of those were kind of good stuff just to
I mean,
cap
other
it
people
off.
are starting to notice him too. So his effects are wearing off.
That's good though, right?
Other girls are gonna notice him, and then Junta's just gonna be slaying puss.
They did do the like psychology test stuff, but it's like that's how many kids you're gonna have. It's like
What was the number again? It was like,
well, he said 2, and then she was like oodles, like a bunch, and it's like, well, that's how many kids you want to have, and it's like, oh, how shameful.
Junta's gonna be clapping some cheeks.
Some Kubo cheeks. I'm still very confused with how old the sister is.
I think she's college because she's drinking
College?
beer at some point, so she's at least 20.
Well, there's times where you saw a flashback of Kubo being very little and her still looking like a high schooler. So it's like
It's anime. What do you want?
I want some continuity because somehow the sister in a flashback looks slightly older than the sister is right now.
Yo, Jimmy, you want to animate a new character design that looks younger? Nah, I'm just gonna add one line to her face. Like, okay, cool, done.
Lame.
I mean, that's how I would do it. Gotta save that money somehow, Justus.
Overall, I enjoyed it. If they did another season, I'd definitely watch.
I probably wouldn't. I don't know. I just feel like you got so many shows that it was weird because there were some shows that started weak, ended strong, but then you get some shows that started super strong and ended weak. And there's some shows that started mediocre, got really good, and ended really good. So I mean, overall, I think most of the shows started either a little weaker or mediocre, ended strong, and there's a lot of shows that started strong that I just thought ended a little weaker, but they set the bar too high too early.
I thought, especially compared to like last season, they've both been pretty good. This one has had a couple of like overall better shows. I think the only weakest show, and we're going to talk about it next week, is Tanakawa. But the
That's
rest
kind of a
them,
given.
Yeah.
Honestly, after the first 3 episodes, we should just drop that show. Been like, peace, Tanakawa. We're gonna find someone better on there.
Yeah.
That's all I got.
And that's all I have as well. Thank you guys for watching. See you next time.
Yeah.